I have been waiting to talk about this manga series. It feels like forever because it is officially in my new favorites of manga series that deserve nothing less than 5 stars. Hello friends! Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you're here, and as you guys can see, I officially have a new YouTube opening. I am so hyped. I have been wanting an official YouTube intro video thing for a long time. In fact, it probably started when I first saw my friend Sarah Ella before she signed her book contract. Like, this was years ago, guys. But when I saw her have a super cool opening, I was just like, oh my goodness, I one day want something like that for my personal channel. And I've just been thinking about it for some time now, and here we are. I really hope you guys like it. I am super hyped for it and absolutely love it. And speaking of love it, like I said, this is officially in my top favorite series. I love this series so incredibly much. Like, dude, it is like peak fiction in my opinion for the villainous isekai otome game redeem villainous genre. Yes, yes, yes. And that is I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. Oh my goodness! I love this series so much. It was so unexpected for me. In fact, I went to the bookstore many months ago and I really wanted to get a different villainous series, but they did not have the volume that I wanted. And I'm like, I'm in the mood for this. I want to get something. And I remembered about this manga and I read through like almost at least half of the first volume in stores, and I was like, yep, that's a sign, it's coming home. So I got volume 1 and I got volume 2, and at that time volume 3 was not out just yet, so I pre-ordered it ASAP, and then here we are where it's finally read, and it was so good. Oh my goodness. I'm not 100% sure how you say her name. Hopefully I'm saying it right, not butchering it, because she's super cool. Awesome character. Aline, it's A-I-L-E-E-N. Yes, and she basically has been reincarnated into this otome game, and she is, lo and behold, the villainess. And the story opens up where her engagement is being broken by Prince Cedric, who was her childhood friend, also her fiance, and he is breaking the engagement because he wants to marry the, I think, what is it, Maiden of the Sacred Sword, and she is basically the protagonist. Lilia, I believe is her name, and he's like, I'm gonna marry her instead. And so rather than her give in to tears and all these things, she picks herself up and she's like, you know what, I know how this game ends, and I'm gonna go to the Demon King, what is his name? It's not Cedric, Claude is his name, and tell him I want to marry him. And she goes to him in the middle of the night, proposes, and is like, I want to marry you. So that is the reason for the title, is that she's gonna go tame the final boss so he doesn't basically kill her in numerous different ways, because depending on the route that like the storyline went, like she always dies, and sometimes they're like really bad deaths, like really bad. So in 3 months' time, she wants to convince him, this guy right here, the king, who is a precious cinnamon roll character so very much, she wants to convince him to marry her so that she can live. Oh my goodness, I love this manga. I know I keep saying that, but dude, like, this was so incredibly good. This was such a surprise for me. It was unexpected. I will admit, this is the first time I've ever read a manga that had an actual Demon King character, and I was really hesitant because I've read Demon Slayer, but usually I don't really read stuff with demons in it or like Demon Kings. But this had like really, like in this first volume when I read it, it didn't have like really any kind of magic in it. I was like, this is not what I expected. So I sort of feel, I don't know if this is true for all manga that have Demon Kings, I sort of feel like the word or the title Demon King is given to show that they're an evil being just that's very powerful. Like, they're like OP. It's like ridiculous. And so they give them that name to make them appear very evil, very menacing. But I mean, dude, he's not. He's not. He is not that, okay? And so I was really surprised by that, and just like sorry, my mind totally blanked because I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. And I was like, Laura, you've said that like numerous times. Stop repeating yourself. But I was really surprised by that, and it was just different than I expected. And oh, I love these characters. Aline is just a phenomenal main character to cheer for. Like literally from the very get-go, I was already cheering for her. She has a very unique voice, and how she really just picked herself up. Like she says right here, I'll avoid that bad ending no matter what. And she does. She really, really does. And she just keeps going, and how like open and honest, and she's so gutsy. Like she's not afraid to go after and help herself live and like avoid all these flags so that she doesn't die in the end. But what's really interesting about this is I feel like in the manga genre, or the manga that I have read in this genre, I feel like they usually will sort of interact with the main character, not by a lot, but they're usually nice to them. She's interesting when it comes to the protagonist, because like she doesn't interact with her, and then like when she like I guess is brought up, like she has like these such not hateful feelings, but she does not like her whatsoever. And there are such great moments later on between them, especially in this third and final volume, that just, oh my goodness, were so very good. I was literally on the edge of my seat reading this. The plot twists throughout this series are so good. Like, I feel like this is a very original and creative villainous trope kind of thing. But I guess not trope, because trope means it's common. And I just felt like that this manga took those tropes and like flipped it on its head. And I really honestly did not know what to expect as this series went on. I knew I loved our main girl. I loved her interactions with Claude and just the things she says to him and how brave and how daring she is. I did not know what was going to come. I was like, when I was reading the second volume, I was just like, oh my goodness, I honestly hope that this ends on a awesome note, because I'm just like, we keep getting these reveals and it's nothing like I expected. It's nothing like I have read before. I just felt head over heels for this series. I mean, literally from the first page, I just binge read this series. I wanted more. I wanted to see what Aline would do, and her family is something else. Like, her dad is a very interesting character, and just how her upbringing has affected her, and then, you know, this being her second life, basically. It's just so interesting seeing her interact with this world. Like, she's not just acting like a character in this world. How she takes a liking just to all of these characters was amazing. Okay, well, not all of the characters. That is not fully accurate, but the characters that she is interacting with, I love how she just takes a liking to them, and how there's so much more. Like, as the story progresses, there's so much more than her just trying to keep herself alive and not die. Like, that was so beautiful. That was so wonderful, especially as it goes into the second volume. I mean, I feel like her as a character just shines on page, and the more we see her just really, I mean, in a sense, she's almost like a go-getter, but not exactly, because I feel like that means, I don't know, I feel like it means differently than what I'm thinking, but like, she really is striving to just be a good, noble woman and really help provide for the different groups of people. Let me see if I can find the map that's in this manga. I am not finding it for some reason. I really could have sworn it was in volume 2, but as I was flipping through, let's talk about something. So I'm not sure if you can tell the difference. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So this bottom one is the first volume. As you can see, the pages are darker. This is the second volume, and it has like white pages, and I believe the third volume, yep, second and third volume are the same way. It was interesting because this paper for volume 1 had a different texture, and the paper is not a pure white kind of page, or page, not page, paper. There we go, paper, I could talk. While the, that was almost a spoiler. While the second one here is a thicker paper, and like I said, it's pure white, and it just feels different. Like, even as you hold the volume, it's different. I don't know if all of the volumes are like that for the series, but I just thought that was sort of, it was a little bit odd at first going from volume 1 to volume 2 specifically for that reason, because I was like, whoa, it's like you can feel that different page quality under your fingertips. but obviously that doesn't affect the story at all or anything. But there is a map in one of these volumes. I cannot find it, but as you basically the town centers around the castle, and the further away that you get from the castle, the poorer the people are. So especially in the fifth ring of the city, and so she really has a heart to help the people there, and just all of the characters. I feel like I'm going all over the place because I'm thinking of things in my brain that pop up from the manga, and I'm just like, Laura, stay on task, stay on task. See, this is sometimes, well, it's helpful to actually write out things that I want to say in order rather than it be chaotic and all over the place. But I just really love how she has a heart for those characters, and not just for this, for this people, and not just for those people, but for our king here, and for the other demons, basically, who I feel like aren't actual demons. The only one that maybe, I feel like maybe could look like one is Bell. I know he's in the first one because I just saw him. Here he is right here. He would be sort of the only one, and he's sort of the right-hand man, and Bell is hilarious, okay? He is so funny. I loved him, and his like interactions with our main girl are hilarious because she really knows how to manipulate him, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's definitely for her advantage. And one of the things that she actually jokes about is like, aren't you the Demon King's right-hand man? And he's like, right-hand man? He's like, yes, I am. And so he'll do things, but his arc was so good. And I just really loved their friendship and how great it was, and things that happen, and just there's subtle changes that happen in him, but they were so profound given, I feel like, the little amount of page time that he has. I mean, he definitely gets some great page time, but definitely not as much as our main characters or anything. But I really loved when he came on page because you knew it'd be fun, you knew there'd be some banter going on, and it was so great. I really loved his character. And talking about him, since he is on this page, let's talk about Almond. This here is Almond the Crow, and how he gets his bow is so hilarious. Again, our main girl is able to manipulate him as well, and Claude totally sees this. He totally knows like what she's doing. Again, it's not like in a bad way, in a way that hurts them or that she's gaining like an advantage or anything over them. It helps push them to go, I guess, in a general direction that she wants them to go, and makes things in the long run easier for her, but also definitely helps those characters. But Almond the Crow is such a fun character. I love when he's on page. He definitely doesn't get much page time at all, but when he is on there, it is so great. And he is on the second volume right here. He is, he's so wonderful. I love his character so much. I was pretty excited to see that a reviewer had said that they're like, I'm on the Crow's team. Like, yes, because he is just so much fun. Now that I've talked about them, I do want to go back and let's talk about the left-hand man. His name is Keith. This is an absolute great pose right here of our main girl. This is when she has gone to his castle and she's going to talk to him, and it was just so great. It was so great. Let's see, where is Keith at? Keith is a very great character. I had a little bit mixed feelings about him, but he has such a great and kind heart. I am not finding a good picture of him. Here we go. He's right here. This is Keith, and he is so smart. He is very analytical, and he very much reminds me of our main girl, that he can, in a way, manipulate things to his advantage, but not necessarily in like a bad way or anything like that. But he is very, very smart, and I felt like as in the beginning of the story, like you have to keep an eye out for him. I felt like that was my first thoughts, and my reaction is like, this guy could potentially be bad news, and I really hope he won't be bad news. And his character and his story was one of the things that definitely most surprised me, especially as we get into this third volume. There were just so many surprises with him. I can't even say anything about it because it was just like, oh my goodness, like I did not foresee this. I didn't imagine this is where we would be. And somebody mentioned there's not a lot of foreshadowing with things, and I don't know if that's true or not, because my eyes were glued to the page and I was just sucked into this story and just wanted more and more. And while the first volume is absolutely amazing, I really loved the second volume, especially when the lackeys come on page, because oh my goodness, okay, now I will say I don't watch Attack on Titan. I don't know much about it, but doesn't he look like Levi? Does he not look like Levi? Oh my goodness, like it makes his character that much better in my opinion, because Levi just seems like a really cool character, and you get him and all of those guys, you get more of them in this second volume, and Isaac, who the guy that looks like Levi, oh my goodness, he is such a great character. He is just, oh, I loved him on page so very much, and like I can honestly say like this is one time that I was like, dude, if you and the main girl were ever to get together, I would not be mad. Part of his charm is that they just make a great team. They just make a great team, and I really loved just their page time together and like things that are happening, because you know if Isaac's on page, you know things are about to go down, and it is just fabulous. I loved him on page so incredibly much, and just the things that happen. So you see a lot of them in this volume, and you meet new characters and get to hang out with them, so to speak, and see what they do and how they work together, and I really, really enjoyed that. In fact, this volume has made me want to get the light novels, but I've been very, very hesitant because I was doing some research the night before this video, and we only have 3 volumes of the manga, and I believe it's fully completed. However, there are 7 light novel volumes, and I'm like, there's so much extra content that's out there. Grant, I read the blurb for the 2nd and 3rd volume, I was like, I don't know. It's like I'm pretty happy with the ending of this series, so I'm like, I don't know if I want the extra drama that it seems like the series could have. But volume 1, I would love, I think, to read more, because I was reading the sample that's on Amazon, and I was like, her voice is just so great. It's very catchy, and I don't know, I just feel it's very unique compared to other light novels I've read. I really, really enjoyed it, and I do feel from what I've read so far that the manga is very true to the light novel, which is great because I really love when that happens. And there were so many twists and turns in this volume, and just so many surprises, and anytime Claude is like using basically like his powers, it is so cool. It is so cool. Like good things usually happen, though the ending of this, oh my goodness, dude, like oh my goodness, like so many things were just happening, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like yeah, that last quarter, and then our guy here is realizing things, and then supposedly the protagonist Lilia is doing things, and I'm just like, I do know, there's no words to say that capture that feeling that I had, that I'm like, dude, like this is going bonkers. And then you get to volume 3, and that one thing happens, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like dude, like this is bad. Like I reread like parts of this just admiring the panels and the art, because it's so engaging, and then throw in like what is happening plot wise, and it is mind blowing. Like I just could not even, like there were so many good plot twists, and just, oh, I wish I could show this one panel because it's so good, but the art was fantastic. Like literally the internal dialogue in some of these parts in this volume specifically, and then the paneling and the art, like all of it came together, and the impact was absolutely amazing. I'm just like, dude, like you had me wrapped around your finger. I'm so sucked into this. I love it so very much. Like before I even got to this one, because I do feel like the 2nd volume was probably my most favorite, because I was so really excited, and like I saw people giving less than 5 stars, like, no, you cannot give this story anything less than 5 stars. Like, dude, I would have given this 10 out of 10 stars. Same thing with volume 3, and I would definitely say probably the same with volume 1, because I came in with this with open expectations, and I just fell in love with these characters. Like I love them so very much, and I'm like, the anime is coming and I am here for it. I really love the voice actor that they chose for the main girl. For Claude, I don't know, I'm a little bit iffy, because I feel like his voice is deeper than I pictured or like heard it in my head to be, but that's okay. Like I'm really excited to see how everybody else is, and the twist with the protagonist and the villainess and all of that. It is so good. It is so very good. And I could not stand Prince Cedric for nothing. Like this dude, like he starts out okay, but then by the end, he's just I don't feel like he's garbage. I feel like that's the wrong thing to say, but I'm just like, this dude is, no, like he is below the line, whatever it is. No, like, no, he just needs to get off the page. He has no value in my opinion. He is just absolutely horrible. Did not like him whatsoever. And if there was just one thing I could say, again, that this was so incredibly original, like Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3, which I love this cover so very much. And it just, I forgot what I was saying because I thought about a certain scene. I was going to say, I love how things that happen in the first volume, they come back in the third volume. And I was like, this is so great. And then you turn the page and you're like, no, like this was supposed to be really good. We have been anticipating this as a reader. And then it unfolds and you're like, I did not expect that. Like, why is this happening? Just all of the excitement, all of the feels, and look at the back. The back is so cute. I love all of them and just how they look. It is just so precious. Like, oh my goodness. Sorry, I was looking at this one down here. They are so adorable, and I love how, I think I'm pretty sure I've said it, that their king here is a cinnamon roll character, and how his magical abilities work is that you're always sort of seeing his feelings on display, and it is so precious. It is so very cute. I really, really enjoyed that, and it brings like a fun, nice element to this story and to the series, and the bonus stories for everything just... It was so good. It was so good. I feel like I repeated myself quite a bit, but I love these characters. This is like a read that you read just for some happy, fluffy stuff, though it doesn't, now not all of it is fluffy, because in Volume 3, I was pretty shocked how it sort of took a little bit of a dark turn, and I'm like, this is really intense. Given how everything else what has been, I'm like, the stakes in this are so much higher than I ever would imagine in Volume 1. And the stakes just continue, and Lilia, the protagonist, I just have to say, guard yourself. Watch yourself with that character, because she's something. She's something else. There we go. No spoilers. Success there. I love this series so incredibly much. I just need everybody to read it. In fact, I have to go find some friends I know have read it and go spam them, because they're just, those plot twists, I'm like, I did not see this coming whatsoever. Like, it was so good. Like, there was literally a time in Volume 3 that I was reading, I'm like, yes, this is getting so good. Like, yes, things are gonna be okay. And then you turn the page and you're just like, no. Like, I burst out laughing because I could not hold in the anxiety I was feeling for these characters and what was going down and what was happening. Again, I absolutely love this series. I highly, so very highly recommend this. It's only 3 volumes. It just well went above what I expected. I never knew I would love this just as much as I did. The hype that I feel for this is the same that I feel for Kaiju number 8, for Haikyuu, and I'm just like, I'm so happy I read this. I'm so happy this is on my shelf. I love it. I love it so very much. Please let me know, have you read this series? What were your thoughts? I truly hope you loved it and enjoyed it. If you haven't read this series, please go check it out. Please go check it out, and would love to know, are there any recent books that you've read that have just gotten you so excited, so hyped? I would love to hear what those series are, and just thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And again, thank you so much for watching. Bye!